You become what you believe. This is the law of success. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they were taught to see themselves as small, not by enemies, but by life, by rejection, by silence, by moments when they tried and no one noticed, and slowly they began to believe the lie. This is all I'll ever be. There is a law controlling your life right now, more powerful than money, stronger than luck, and more accurate than talent. It decides how far you rise and how long you stay stuck. That law is not outside you. It lives in what you believe about yourself. At some point in your life, you stopped dreaming big, not because you wanted to, but because life taught you to be careful instead of courageous. You traded vision for survival, hope for routine, and now you wonder why you feel empty even when you're busy. Listen to me carefully. Your life is not limited by your past. It is limited by the story you keep telling yourself about it. Change the story and you change the future. Every human being is born with fire inside them, but the world teaches them to dim it, to fit in, to be safe, to be normal. And the tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that they never discover who they could have become. You don't see the world as it is. You see it as you believe it is. And right now, your beliefs are quietly designing your future without asking your permission. One day, you will look back at your life and realize it was never about luck, never about talent, never about opportunity. It was always about one thing, what you believed you deserved. There is a silent force shaping every hour of your life. It does not announce itself with noise or spectacle. It does not demand attention, yet it determines the ceiling of your income, the depth of your relationships, the size of your courage, and the distance between who you are and who you could become. That force is belief, not wishful thinking, not positive slogans. Belief as a living system inside you. Belief as a command to your nervous system. Belief as the blueprint your mind uses to construct reality. Long before skyscrapers pierced the sky, long before machines replaced muscle, long before electricity turned night into day, human beings lived by one unchanging rule. They became what they believed they were allowed to become. Tribes rose and fell on this rule. Empires expanded and collapsed on this rule. Every invention, every revolution, every leap forward in history began in the invisible territory of belief. Before Edison lit a bulb, he lit a vision. Before Ford built an assembly line, he built an idea of possibility. Before Lincoln freed a nation, he freed his own mind from the belief that history could not be challenged. Your life is no different. You may not be standing in a laboratory or a battlefield, but every morning you step onto a field of decisions shaped by what you think is possible. Most people do not fail because they lack intelligence or talent. They fail because they accept a small story about who they are. They inherit fear the way others inherit eye color. They absorb limitation the way lungs absorb air. They confuse comfort with safety and routine with destiny. And slowly, without realizing it, they begin to live beneath their potential, calling it realism. Belief is not a decoration. It is not something you hang on the wall of your mind and admire. Belief is architecture. It is structure. It is the steel beam that determines how high your life can rise before it collapses. If you believe struggle is permanent, you will build habits that keep you trapped in struggle. If you believe success is for others, you will unconsciously sabotage your own progress. If you believe discipline is punishment, you will run from the very tool that could set you free. Your behavior is not random. It is loyal to your beliefs. Look at the world through this lens, and suddenly everything makes sense. The person who wakes up early to train while the rest sleep is not more gifted. They simply believe their future is worth discomfort. The entrepreneur who risks failure is not reckless. They believe growth is more dangerous to ignore than fear is to face. The student who studies while friends party does not hate fun. They believe their tomorrow deserves their sacrifice today. Action is belief made visible. The mind is a factory. Every thought is a worker. Every belief is a manager. And every outcome is a product rolling off the assembly line. You do not get what you want from life. You get what your belief system is trained to produce. This is why two people can face the same storm and emerge as different beings. One sees disaster and collapses. The other sees initiation and rises. The difference is not the storm. The difference is the meaning assigned to it. History is filled with those who refuse to let circumstance define belief. Andrew Carnegie arrived with nothing but an idea that poverty was not a permanent condition. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Thomas Edison was called unteachable. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election before he led a divided nation. Their power was not in their circumstances. It was in their refusal to accept the belief systems offered to them by the world. They chose their own. Your beliefs were not born with you. They were taught to you by parents who did the best they could, by teachers who carried their own fears, by culture that rewards safety and punishes risk, by repetition that slowly carved grooves into your thinking. What you call your personality is often just your conditioning, and what you call your limits are often just unexamined assumptions. The most dangerous belief is not, "I can't." The most dangerous belief is, "This is just how I am." That sentence is the prison gate. It closes quietly. It locks you into patterns that feel familiar, but slowly shrink your world. The moment you stop questioning your beliefs is the moment you stop growing. Growth does not begin with motivation. It begins with inspection. It begins when you ask yourself what ideas you are living by without consent. Belief shapes perception. Perception shapes emotion. Emotion shapes decision. Decision shapes destiny. This is not poetry. This is mechanics. When you believe you are behind, your body carries the weight of defeat. When you believe you are capable, your posture changes, your voice changes, your risk tolerance changes. The nervous system does not respond to reality, it responds to interpretation, and interpretation is ruled by belief. There is a law operating here as precise as gravity. Drop a stone and it will fall. Drop a belief into your mind and it will shape your life. You can ignore the law, but you cannot escape it. You can deny it, but it will still govern your results. This is the law of success. You become what you believe, not someday, not magically, daily, through thousands of small decisions guided by what you think is true about yourself. And this is where the work begins, not with chasing outcomes, not with begging for luck, but with reconstructing the inner world that produces your outer one. The moment you change what you believe is possible, you change what you attempt. The moment you change what you attempt, you change what you practice. The moment you change what you practice, you change who you become. Transformation does not start in the muscles. It starts in the mind. Most people wait for proof before they believe. Winners believe before there is proof. They create evidence through action. They understand that belief is not a reaction to success. It is the cause of it. The future does not belong to the strongest or the smartest. It belongs to those whose belief is larger than their fear. And fear will always be loud at the beginning. Growth is never comfortable. Expansion always feels like risk. But stagnation is a slow death disguised as peace. If you could see your beliefs the way you see your reflection, you would understand why your life looks the way it does. Your income mirrors what you believe you deserve. Your relationships mirror what you believe you are worthy of. Your habits mirror what you believe is necessary. Nothing in your life is neutral. Everything is a message from your belief system to your behavior. This is not about pretending. It is not about repeating words without conviction. It is about building belief through deliberate experience, through doing the hard thing until your identity shifts, through keeping promises to yourself until trust replaces doubt, through setting standards that force you to rise. Belief grows when action aligns with intention. Confidence is not a feeling. It is a memory of kept commitments. The law does not judge your beliefs. It only reflects them. If you believe you are small, life will give you small challenges. If you believe you are meant to grow, life will give you obstacles large enough to shape you. The universe does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your self-image. And your self-image is nothing more than a collection of beliefs you have accepted as truth. You stand at a crossroads every day. One road is paved with old ideas. The other is built with deliberate choice. One path keeps you consistent with your past. The other requires you to become someone new. And the gate between them is belief. Not belief in luck, not belief in magic, belief in your capacity to learn, adapt, endure, and rise. This is the beginning of mastery, not of the world, but of yourself. Because the greatest prison is invisible, and the greatest freedom begins when you rewrite the story you live inside. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your beliefs. Goals are declarations of desire. Beliefs are declarations of identity, and identity is the engine that drives behavior when no one is watching. You can write plans, set targets, build strategies, but if the person inside still believes they are unworthy, unprepared, or unsafe in growth, the mind will quietly steer them back to familiar ground. The old patterns will whisper that comfort is wisdom and fear is protection. That voice is not truth, it is habit. Every belief you hold is reinforced by emotional experience. The mind does not remember facts, it remembers feeling. A child who is told they are capable but feels ignored will believe neglect more than praise. A worker who is promised opportunity but experiences rejection will believe limitation more than words. This is why change is not intellectual, it is emotional. You must attach new feelings to new ideas. You must experience yourself as powerful before you can think of yourself as powerful. And that experience is built through action. Discipline is not about control, it is about identity. When you discipline yourself, you are not forcing behavior, you are training belief. Every early morning, every hard workout, every focused hour, every resisted temptation sends a message to the nervous system. This is who I am now. And the nervous system listens. It adapts, it reorganizes, it stops seeing effort as danger and starts seeing it as normal. This is how the impossible becomes routine. Clarity is the next layer. A mind without direction becomes a warehouse of random beliefs. It collects ideas from television, from social media, from the fears of others, and stacks them without order. Clarity burns away what does not belong. It asks one question that reshapes everything. What is this life for? Without purpose, belief collapses into distraction. With purpose, belief becomes a weapon against doubt. Men and women who changed history did not have more time. They had more direction. Carnegie knew he would master steel. Disney knew he would build worlds. Ford knew he would move humanity faster than horses ever could. Their belief was not a vague optimism. It was a definite aim. The mind organizes itself around what it decides is important. Energy follows meaning. Attention follows vision. Vision is belief given a picture. When you can see yourself becoming more, the mind begins to build a bridge toward that image. It looks for resources. It notices opportunities. It reframes obstacles as training. The brain is a filter. It deletes most of reality. What it keeps is what aligns with belief. This is why two people can walk into the same room and see different futures. One sees threats, the other sees doors. Purpose gives pain a direction. Without meaning, suffering feels like punishment. With meaning, suffering becomes initiation. The athlete does not curse the burn in their muscles because they know what it produces. The entrepreneur does not curse failure because they know what it teaches. Belief transforms pain into progress. It tells the mind, this is not happening to me, this is happening for me. And that shift is everything. Action is the proof of belief, not speeches, not quotes, not intentions. Action is the vote you cast for the person you are becoming every day. You are voting. You vote with what you eat. You vote with what you study. You vote with how you speak to yourself. You vote with what you tolerate, and over time, those votes form an identity. Identity forms destiny. Gratitude is not softness, it is strength. It anchors belief in abundance instead of lack. When you focus on what is working, you train the mind to expect more to work. When you focus on what is missing, you train the mind to see scarcity everywhere. Gratitude is not denial of struggle. It is recognition of progress. It says, I am moving, even if slowly, and movement feeds belief. Adaptability keeps belief alive when plans fail. Rigidity turns belief into fragility. The world does not reward those who cling to one way. It rewards those who learn quickly and adjust. The oak breaks in storms. The reed survives. Belief must be flexible enough to grow and firm enough to guide. You do not abandon your vision because the road changes. You change your methods while protecting your mission. Resilience is belief under pressure. It is what remains when comfort is stripped away. It is what stands when applause is gone. It is built in moments when quitting would be easy and continuing feels costly. Each time you endure, the mind records a new truth. I can survive this. I can grow from this. I am stronger than yesterday. And belief deepens. Learning is belief in motion. A closed mind is a closed future. Those who stop learning stop becoming. Curiosity keeps the mind young. Humility keeps it open. You are not defined by what you know. You are defined by what you are willing to learn. And learning reshapes belief because it expands what you think is possible. The world does not need more noise. It needs more people who have mastered their inner story. The battlefield of your life is not outside, it is inside. It is the conversation you have with yourself when you are tired. It is the explanation you give when you fail. It is the expectation you carry into tomorrow. Belief is not inherited, it is built. Brick by brick, choice by choice, thought by thought. You are not stuck with the mind you were given. You are the architect of the mind you keep, and the structure you build will determine how high your life can rise. You become what you believe. This is not a metaphor, it is a mirror. Look at your life and you will see your beliefs staring back at you. Change the reflection by changing the source. Teach your mind a new language. Train it to see growth where it once saw danger. Train it to see opportunity where it once saw risk. Train it to see strength where it once saw weakness. And one day, you will realize the law was never against you. It was always working for you. It was waiting for you to decide who you are. Belief is not a single decision. It is a daily rehearsal. You wake up and rehearse it with your routines. You reinforce it with your language. You deepen it with your standards. The world may test you, but it cannot define you unless you agree. Every challenge asks one question: who are you now? And every response writes the next chapter of your identity. There will be moments when the old beliefs fight to survive. They will remind you of past failures. They will show you images of embarrassment and loss. They will tell you that staying small is safer than becoming visible. This is not weakness. This is biology. The mind evolved to protect, not to expand. It values survival over growth. But you are no longer living in caves. You are living in a world that rewards courage, creativity, and contribution. The instinct to hide must be retrained into the instinct to rise. The mind must be given a new reference point, not through fantasy, but through experience. When you do what you once feared, the nervous system updates its map of reality. When you speak when you once stayed silent, when you try when you once avoided, when you persist, when you once quit, belief begins to change shape. The brain rewires itself around repeated action. What was once unfamiliar becomes familiar. What was once terrifying becomes normal. This is how a new self is born. Your environment is a teacher. It teaches you what is acceptable, what is rewarded, what is possible. If you surround yourself with small thinking, your belief will shrink. If you surround yourself with disciplined minds, your belief will stretch. Carnegie built his empire by learning from men who had already climbed. Ford learned from engineers who saw machines as partners of progress. Lincoln learned from books when schools were closed to him. Belief grows in the presence of example. But environment is not only people, it is information. It is what you feed your mind before sleep and after waking. A mind fed on fear becomes skilled at anxiety. A mind fed on vision becomes skilled at strategy. You cannot expect greatness from a diet of distraction. The inner world must be nourished with ideas that challenge, stories that elevate, and questions that sharpen. What you consume becomes what you consider normal. The greatest deception is that belief must come before action. Often action must come before belief. You move first, and belief follows. You step forward before confidence arrives. You speak before certainty settles. You build while doubt still whispers. This is not hypocrisy. This is leadership of the self. The body teaches the mind what to think. The muscles teach the heart what to trust. Motion teaches meaning. Think of the blacksmith. The iron does not shape itself. It must be heated, struck, and reshaped again and again. So as belief heat is pressure, the hammer is effort, the anvil is purpose. Without pressure, belief remains soft and untested. Without effort, it remains unformed. Without purpose, it remains directionless. But under repeated force, it becomes strong enough to hold weight. Your future is not waiting for you. It is responding to you. Every thought sends a signal. Every habit sends a pattern. Every standard sends a boundary. You are teaching life how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you settle, life will match you. If you demand growth, life will meet you with challenge. The law is impartial. It mirrors what you expect. When setbacks come, belief is refined, not destroyed. A setback is not a verdict, it is a message. It says adjust, not abandon. It says learn, not retreat. Edison did not call his thousands of attempts failures. He called them discoveries of what does not work. That belief kept him moving forward while others would have stopped. Ford went bankrupt before building an empire. Lincoln lost more than he won before leading a nation. Their belief was not in perfection, it was in persistence. Persistence is belief stretched over time. It is faith with muscle. It is the refusal to let one season define a lifetime. The world remembers those who stayed when it would have been easier to leave. Those who kept building when it would have been easier to complain. Those who held their vision when evidence was thin. This is not stubbornness. This is alignment with a future not yet visible. Success is not an event. It is a character trait. It lives in the daily choice to grow when comfort calls. It lives in the willingness to be misunderstood while you build. It lives in the patience to plant seeds you may not harvest immediately. Belief does not rush, it roots. The measure of your belief is not what you say when things are easy. It is what you do when things are hard. It is how you interpret silence, delay, and struggle. Do you see them as proof of failure or proof of preparation? Do you see resistance as a signal to stop or a signal that something valuable is being formed? One path leads back to the familiar, the other leads forward into uncertainty. Both are shaped by belief. You cannot walk both. One requires surrender to old stories, the other requires authorship of new ones. You do not become new by wishing. You become new by acting in alignment with a different idea of yourself. And that is the real work. not the work of chasing money or titles or applause, but the work of becoming the kind of person who can hold them without breaking. Belief must be strong enough to carry success without guilt and endure failure without collapse. That strength is built in private long before it is seen in public. The law remains simple. You become what you believe. Every habit is a belief in action. Every pattern is belief repeated. Every breakthrough is belief matured. And every limit is belief unchallenged. So choose carefully what you believe about yourself, because that belief is already becoming your life. Belief is the unseen architect of your destiny. Long before results appear in the world, they appear in the mind. Long before victory shows on the scoreboard of life, it is rehearsed in the private arena of thought and decision. The world only reflects what you have already accepted within yourself. It does not argue with your self-image. It simply agrees with it. You will never outperform the picture you hold of who you are. If you see yourself as temporary, your effort will be temporary. If you see yourself as replaceable, your discipline will be fragile. But when you see yourself as someone who grows, someone who adapts, someone who endures, the mind reorganizes around that image. It begins to look for proof instead of excuses. It begins to search for pathways instead of exits. It begins to cooperate with the future instead of defending the past. This is why belief must be guarded, not from criticism, but from compromise. The world will offer you smaller dreams in exchange for short-term comfort. It will suggest that settling is maturity and fear is wisdom. It will reward conformity and punish vision. But history never remembers those who blended in. It remembers those who believed beyond their circumstances and acted beyond their conditioning. You are not here to repeat what has already been done. You are here to expand what is possible through who you become. The future does not need more spectators, it needs architects. It needs individuals who refuse to let old stories dictate new outcomes. It needs minds that see beyond present evidence and hearts that commit to growth even when the path is unclear. Your belief will be tested, not once but many times, tested by fatigue, tested by rejection, tested by delay, tested by the quiet moments when no one is watching and quitting would be invisible. Those moments are not interruptions. They are the curriculum. They are the place where belief either deepens or dissolves. And what you choose there will echo through your life louder than any speech ever could. Do not wait for certainty. Certainty is built, not found. It is formed by repeated action aligned with a higher idea of yourself. Every time you keep a promise to your future, belief strengthens. Every time you rise instead of retreat, belief stabilizes. Every time you learn instead of blame, belief matures. Over time, the inner voice that once questioned becomes the voice that commands. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you decide it means. Meaning is the master lever of belief. Change the meaning and you change the emotion. Change the emotion and you change the behavior. Change the behavior and you change the direction of your life. This is not chance. This is design. One day, you will look back and realize the law was always working. When you doubted yourself, life showed you limitation. When you trusted your capacity to grow, life showed you opportunity. When you believed in fear, life gave you walls. When you believed in expansion, life gave you doors. Nothing was random. Everything was consistent with the story you told yourself about who you were allowed to be. Now the choice is yours. Tomorrow, not someday. Now, will you continue to live inside inherited beliefs, or will you author your own? Will you measure yourself by yesterday's results or by tomorrow's vision? Will you obey the voice of comfort or the call of becoming? Because from this moment forward, the law does not change. You become what you believe. Your habits will follow it. Your standards will protect it. Your future will reflect it. So believe in growth when it feels uncomfortable. Believe in discipline when it feels demanding. Believe in your capacity to learn when you feel unprepared. Believe in your ability to endure when the road is long. Believe in your potential to contribute when the world seems crowded, not because it is easy, but because it is true. And when doubt appears, as it always will, remember this doubt is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that belief is being stretched. And what stretches grows, what grows transforms, what transforms transcends. You do not need permission to rise. You do not need approval to expand. You do not need proof to begin. You only need a belief strong enough to take the next step, because the moment you decide who you are becoming, the future begins to rearrange itself around that decision. You become what you believe, and what you believe is now in your hands.